Okay, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong here. I mean, I'm not gonna be wrong, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. So why do parents not want to supervise their kids anymore? I don't get it. We went to a kids indoor play place the other day, my husband and I, and all 4 of the kids. So you know, that's already a big undertaking as it is. And we've been there before. So I already know that there's like a kind of baby safe zone, and then the bigger kids can like go all around. It's completely enclosed. It's great. We love it, right? I mean, you know, as much as one can love a kid's play place. And so when we got there, we had the littler twins in the ball pit, which is like one of the baby designated areas. And all of a sudden, a ball comes whizzing past my head like super hard. And I'm like, looked around like, what in the world? And so I look and I see these 3 kids who were probably like the ages like 7, 8, 9 or like something like that, like those ages. And they are chucking the balls at each other and like running around and like diving and chucking the balls. And the balls in this particular ball pit, like they're not the ones that get crushed super easily because obviously they're at a kid's play place, right? So they are hard, like they're like a solid wiffle ball. Like, so there's no holes in them, but like the density of a wiffle ball, I don't know. So you could hurt somebody. You could hurt somebody throwing that. And they were throwing them hard. Like they weren't just tossing balls in the air, they were chucking them at each other and like playing some game of tag, which is fine when my babies aren't there, okay? So the ball almost hit me, and at this point, their dads or whoever, they were with 2 men, so I don't know if it was like 2 dads, I don't know if it was like a dad and brother, I don't know if the kids were cousins, I don't know. They also had a baby with them, like a newborn, and so I don't know. But at that point, one of the male figures was in the vicinity, so he kind of saw me look around, and then I looked to see, and I saw like which kid did it, and then the dad kind of went like to the kid, like kind of telling him like, don't be doing that or whatever, okay? But then at that point, the dads go away. So they go and sit in like the seating area, which at this particular play place is totally separate. So you can kind of see the very beginning of the play area from like the seating and eating area, but you can't see everything. And you can't see this ball pit area. So a few minutes later, they're back at it again. They're chucking these balls at each other. They're diving right around my babies. And you know, a couple times they whizzed right by them running and almost like knocked them over. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay. And so the first time, you know me, I was like, hey, this is the baby area, so you can't be, you know, doing all of that over here. Do you see that there's babies here? And it wasn't just my babies there. There was a couple other like little, you know, little 1-year-olds around, or like maybe even some that couldn't even walk yet, were in there in the area too. And so then when I said it, like one of the other moms was like, yeah, you know, someone always wants to like co-sign. But I was like, you can't be doing that. I was like, if you guys want to do that, go over there, because there is another ball pit area that's more suitable for bigger kids, right? And so they just looked at me and kept doing it. And I mean, they're chucking these balls, right? And screaming and diving all over. And so then I was like, hey, I was like, did you hear what I said? I was like, stop throwing those balls by these babies. And then the little girls, it was 2 girls and a boy. The little girl kind of like laughed and then just kind of like walked away. And then they kind of went away for a second and they started doing it again. And again, the dads or the dad figures, whatever, aren't there. So I kind of looked over towards them to kind of see, like, are you at least observing this? Like, maybe you can come over and handle your kids, because like, this is escalating now for me. Because if you have little kids, you have little babies, like, you know, all of these things are experiences for them and they have to get acclimated. And so it was already a big deal that my little boy wasn't, you know, fussing and like wanting me to hold him, because he typically is a little bit like more nervous in these scenarios. It takes him a minute to warm up, and he was like having a ball in the ball pit, right? So I'm like, I cannot ruin this, like, and let them get hurt, and then that's what they're gonna be thinking about from now on. And so they kept doing it. And so then I, you know, had to go get up close to them, and I was like, hey, you cannot throw those balls over here. I said, and if one of those balls hits one of my babies, you are not going to like what happens next. And you know, I just kind of lost it, because I'm like, this is absurd. And so they kind of like got it at that point and like went off, and we didn't have any more issues. And like at one point I saw the little girl go like talking to her dad or whatever. And it seemed like they were looking over at us, but of course, you know that they like looked at my husband and they were like, we don't want that issue. And so it's like, you know, I'm glad that I could handle it without having to escalate it to the hubby, because that makes it into a whole other thing, right? And like, we're just trying to like enjoy a Saturday morning out with the kids. So after that, there was no more incident and everything was fine. We had a great time, but it just, you know, I go to these places with the kids all the time, and it's like we're forgetting that our kids need us to teach them the rules of engagement. We need to teach them how to play in public spaces, play alongside other people who they may not be playing with, but we're all sharing the same equipment or toys, you know, or space. And also, as the parents, we know the rules of the facility. Like in this particular case, were the kids doing anything inherently wrong by throwing balls and playing chase? No. Do kids throw balls and play chase? Absolutely. My kids throw balls, like my older kids throw balls and play chase. But if we know this is the baby area and someone has now told us this is the baby area, we don't throw the balls. There's millions of signs posted up with literally like a hand and a ball and a non-smoking sign over it. Like it's not a rule I made up. It's not like I wanted my personal ball pit or anything, because we have a personal ball pit at home and they're not allowed to throw balls at each other either at home. So the point is, I understand that we're all exhausted. I understand we're all doing a million things. And sometimes you're like, okay, I'm at this enclosed play place. Nothing can really go wrong. I'm just gonna go sit down and chill. I understand wanting to do that, but we just can't. We're just gonna be raising little menaces who don't know how to like behave. And these kids, I'm not like, again, they weren't menaces. They weren't doing anything absolutely absurd, which I could tell you about something absurd that happened at Chick-fil-A, but I'll save that for another story time. Anyways, my question is, do you think I was in the wrong? And if you do think I was in the wrong, what should I have done differently? And I'll also say, I'm prepared to defend my position. It feels good to get that off my chest though, because I was really upset.